At 3 a.m. on New Year's Day, a man drove a rented truck onto Bourbon Street in New Orleans, ending the lives of 15 before dying in a gunfight with the police right after, as an ISIS flag was found on the attacker's truck. Then, across the country at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, at 8 a.m., a man set off a huge explosion from a Tesla Cybertruck parked outside, as the driver inside dies, injuring others outside, but miraculously the windows of the hotel were not damaged. And now, in New York City, there are apparently marches on behalf of the Intifada.
Intifada? What the hell's that?
As 2025 has already started off terribly, and the way the world is reacting makes me believe it's only going to get worse. Now, we'll break down the information we have so far,
we just said it the
so
wrong
hopefully
way.
you and your loved ones are prepared best as possible for what's to come. Because just like in 2024, the media again seemed to do their best to downplay the situation. As initially, people saw the ISIS flag, but they claimed this was not terror-related.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if this is a viable device or not.
Then the news media in unison reported.
I think that a big issue is that it's the way that the distinction between terrorism is communicated to the public, and I think that the FBI and the police do a really bad job communicating that. Where, like, they need to communicate and figure out, like, we don't know what his intent is yet because we're still putting together all the pieces, so we don't want to say this until we're absolutely sure. But I feel like they never really explain that, and it lets people draw their own conclusions about how, like, the media or, like, the government is, like, trying to hide the information. It makes zero sense. Yeah. The flag, though? Well, yeah, sure. But, like, you still want to research before you say something is a terrorist attack. You want to figure out and make sure that, like, this was a planned thing. He didn't just put this on there because he was trying to start, like, trouble, or, like, he didn't have this on there randomly, or he tried to do it to, like, mislead them, etc. Because, like, there's also the chance that somebody could commit a terrorist attack and then try to pin it on another person. So there's always, like, there's always these circumstances that, like, you know, an investigative authority needs to, yeah, it could be a false flag, right? Exactly, like, literally in this case. So, yeah, well, every Antifa is a fascist group. Well, what my point is that I think people are being way too overzealous with instantaneously getting upset because the government doesn't, within 5 minutes of the news breaking, categorize it as a terrorist attack. I think that this is it's a very weird form of behavior. Or if it was planted, we don't know.
On confirming if this is a viable device or not.
Then the news media in unison reported this was just a truck crash. But afterwards, there just happened to be a shooting. Until finally updating that story with the driver expressed desire to kill in driver rot carnage, which is sadly similar to what happened back in 2021, where a piece of trash attacked a Christmas parade, but the news media rushed out to downplay it as a SUV randomly speeding into the street, seemingly exonerating the person that did it, but also not informing the public that they may still be in danger, as nobody would be concerned over a headline of a truck randomly crashing into Bourbon Street, but that
I think he brings up a good point that it's misleading and confusing. Because a truck doing it, like, fundamentally that headline is accurate, but it is intentionally misleading. Because, like, yes, it is a truck that did it, but it's a person driving a truck. It's like, you don't say, you know, AR-15 kills 15 people. No, you say it's a person that killed 15 people with an AR-15. So I think that if you're using it, yeah, I mean, it's just, if you apply the logic anywhere else, it just makes immediate sense. Some people do. I don't know. I don't see it a lot. It's super dishonest. Well, it's confusing too. They have to determine the intent of the action before reporting. It's not intentionally misleading to say something factually happened before you have additional context and nuance. I think that saying driver killed people by driving a truck into them is more accurate than just saying a truck crashed. Like, because you know that happened, right? I mean, I'm not saying that they did it for a reason, but I'm saying that, like, yeah, you should at least say, like, that's what happened.
basically buries the fact that there was a shootout and more devices were found inside the vehicle.
Also, a corresponding remote control discovered inside the vehicle. Now, this is also significant. According to the same intelligence bulletin, surveillance footage, Molly, captured 3 men and a woman placing one of multiple improvised explosive devices. So certainly more to this investigation.
As later, they raided the man's home all the way over in Texas. Now, the news media has been walking back and forth on whether he was working with others planting devices around the area, but I don't automatically think conspiracy cover-up, as the media reports many things that are blatantly untrue. I don't believe a truck randomly drove itself onto Bourbon Street, so why would I believe anything else they initially report? As I saw on social media
That's
first...
also a huge issue that I think a lot of people are running into, and I think the media is running into in general, is the fact that when people can discover 1 or 2 inaccuracies or inconsistencies with writing, what can end up happening is that people will just ignore everything else that they say. And I think that's, by the way, a good thing. Because, like, if you have people that are lying about one thing, well, they're probably lying about everything else, too. It's just that you can't verify that part.
The man's alleged identity, where Viva Frey had found and posted his 4-year-old YouTube videos that have all since been deleted. As Joe Biden announced, he did make social media posts just before the attack.
The mere hours before the attack,
where are they?
He posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack.
But quickly left taking no questions.
Well, I mean, I think that pretty much settles it then, right? I mean, if the guy said he's inspired by ISIS, I'd say he's probably a fucking terrorist. Organizations just have to cause terror, giving them a shout out immediately on the news gives them what they want. Well, it's accurate though, right?
President Trump, will you visit Have you spoken to President Trump? As a terror attack?
And again, it's hard to determine what's real and what's not.
The door
but I'm
shut.
inclined to believe that YouTube video was actually him,
God.
as why else would the platform immediately take it down, as they do have a bizarre habit of immediately scrubbing all their social media. Now, I don't want to immortalize a guy as somebody interesting, but I think we should be able to see exactly as causing these people to do extreme things to hopefully stop it from inspiring other people from doing the same, as coincidentally or not coincidentally.
I don't think that you can, from any moral perspective, say that it is, or ethical perspective, say that it is somehow right to delete their social media presence, but wrong to broadcast their identity and their motives. Like, I can't see that. Because, like, right now, you have them that they're like publishing this guy's face everywhere. They're talking about him everywhere. So if you're doing that, why not let people see the truth with the social media? And I would say this with the social media platforms as well. Why are you deleting these like crazy people's social media? Why are you doing this? Like, what goal does this serve? Because if it serves if you're looking at like, oh, well, we're doing it to serve the goal to like not promote this type of stuff, then why are you allowing people to discuss it at all? Because if just simply viewing and discussing a person's words is like the criteria for like what's enabling it, well, then all the media companies are doing that too. The reason why I think social media companies delete this stuff is because they're afraid of liability and they're afraid of having it be known that like terrorists use their platforms and they think that it's bad PR. I think that's the real reason why they're deleting it. It's got nothing to do with like any sort of like ethical reason or anything else. It's just to maintain and protect the brand image. Like that's it, because they don't want to acknowledge terrorists are on their platform.
Hours later,
Bunch of
across
pussies,
the country, the Trump Hotel was also attacked. And initially, people didn't know if it was on purpose. But Elon quickly confirmed it was definitely an attack, and not just a Cybertruck randomly malfunctioning, as they did find a large amount of fuel left behind.
We just
And
saw this.
apparently, the Cybertruck's build helped minimize the damage.
It looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet, because it had most of the blasts go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump Hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there.
And as of right now, no information has been released about the driver of the vehicle that apparently detonated the device outside the Trump Hotel. But judging by the imagery, Elon Musk's Cybertruck, Donald Trump's hotel, weeks before his second inauguration, I 100% believe this was done to send some sort of message. But honestly, it did the opposite, as likely the Cybertruck's sturdy construction protected everybody but the person carrying out the attack.
It did, by the way. Tesla had like an actual fuck up apparently on the 1st of January, and then after this happened and like people saw the Cybertruck and how durable it was, it literally caused it to go up in stock. That's right. You kill yourself and you cause the company that you are protesting to go up in stock. I could just imagine it like if he's in heaven or hell, he's like, oh man, fuck, dude! Are you kidding me?
But sadly, this likely won't be the last, as we're not even finished with New Year's Day, and we've already seen 2 significant attacks in our country. So let's hope for the best, but still prepare for the worst. As with the initial reporting in New Orleans and Las Vegas's investigative track record, I honestly doubt we'll know.
Do you think like the devil has like a special place in hell for stupid terrorists? Like really bad terrorists?
Exactly what went down with either event. So hopefully we can cover something more lighthearted in the next video. And make sure you're subscribed to stay on the inside.
A padded room, yeah. Oh man. I think this stuff is going to happen a lot more. Actually, it's going to become more and more prevalent. It's going to become more and more common. And what's going to happen is that you're going to see more people go crazy. And I hope that for Elon, this is a really good indicator of like what it's like and what happens when you let people self-radicalize on the platform. Because I think this is a huge issue with social media. Like I see all the time, people are making posts that are like engaging violence, people that are like threatening to kill somebody, etc. Probably one of the 72 male virgins to troll them. Yeah, right. And hopefully all the future terrorists use Cybertrucks to limit their damage. Yeah, I can see that. And Sweden, 150 bombings last year. Self-radicalize? Well, yeah, I think that's exactly what happens, is that people go on social media and they have like maybe kind of like an extreme opinion about something. But this is just kind of like basically it's bouncing around in their own head. But then when they go on social media and they start interacting with a bunch of other people that all think the same thing, there's like a force multiplier for the insanity. And then it causes people to actually go out and do bad stuff. Now, it's hard to say whether these guys did it for any sort of like a reason like that. But I do think that it's something that's becoming more and more common every single year. And I think the reason why is because social media platforms do an incredibly bad job policing people's behavior. And I'm not talking about like, I'm like, oh, banning people for saying the N-word or banning people for like saying that like women are stupid or something like that. I'm talking about people like that aren't getting banned for like making death threats and stuff, like actual like real stuff. And so that kind of stuff needs to get removed off of social media. It is crazy that they just keep letting this happen. Absolutely fucking astonishing. And so what I see happens more and more. And oh, this guy, look at this.
For 9 years. I mean, I've been in the military. The one thing you do is you learn how to deal with explosives, and you know, if you wanted to. Fortunately for us, 99.99% of them don't do that. But at the end of the day, it's just my theory, and I'm going to be right 80% of the time. These people have some kind of sexual problem. I think that most of them are incels. I'll be wrong 20%. I'll say that, but I'm not going to be wrong much more than that. What do you think happens?
I think all Baldy here is right. I think this crazy fucking 70-year-old veteran that Anderson Cooper just randomly pulled off the street is completely fucking right. I couldn't understand him. Oh, what he said? So what this guy said was that 80% of the people that he thinks are like going out and doing these shootings and shit. James Carville. I don't know who James Carville is. I have no idea who that is. It's a celebrity? Yeah, I don't know. It just looks like some random old fuck. Yeah, is not a random guy? Who is a DNC advisor? Oh, really? What is he, like an advisor for like Abraham Lincoln? Clinton's? Okay, that's pretty close, right? Yeah, sure. And anyway, so that, oh, okay, never mind then. So yeah, I didn't know who the fuck he was. Either way, I think it's true. I think that the reason why a lot of these people, this is why, like, if you look at school shooters, almost all of the school shooters are under the age of 25. I think it's young guys that have, like, basically they take some sort of, like, fucking, like, black pill for life because they don't have a girlfriend and they feel like they've been, like, abandoned by society. So they go and they kill everybody. And, you know, it kind of makes sense, right? It makes sense why they would do that. But it's really bad. And I think that this is a very, very common thing. And, oh, for sure, of course they go there? Yeah, no doubt. And it's an incel issue. I think it's a sexual issue for sure. It makes sense. Yeah, of course it does. It's the same as like your school bullies. Exactly, right? Gail's explanation. Yeah, no pussy madness. Yeah, basically, right? And no, they're crazy. That's all. I think that this makes them more crazy, though. What about the girl school shooter last month? I feel like she also was crazy. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Definitely. Then why is it not the case in any other Western country? The reason why I think that it happens more in America, so a lot, like, I'm going to give you my actual reason why I think we have a lot of killings in America. Number one, I think that we have the highest degree of class disparity that basically any other developed country has. And I think that it's so outward and conspicuous that it causes people to hate themselves. That's number one. I don't think it's only the guns. I think that guns are a factor. It's hard for me to say how big of a factor they are, but there are other countries that have guns, and they don't have as many problems as we do. So, and also, I would rather have shootings and guns than no shootings and no guns. So, like, at the end of the day, even if it is because of the guns, it's a necessary evil, I think. The Second Amendment's more important than that. And that's it. No, and really? Absolutely. It's not even a question. I wouldn't even think about it for a second. Because, like, no, are you pro-gun? I'm completely pro-gun. And if being pro-gun means more people get killed randomly, I'd still be pro-gun. Because that's the truth. I guarantee you, if you took away the Second Amendment and you took away as many people's guns as possible, you would have less people get killed. And you know what? It's not worth it. I'd rather have the guns. Can you explain why? Because I think a person has a right to protect themselves, and I think it's important that a person has that ability, and I think that only a gun can achieve that goal. I don't think that pepper spray can achieve that goal. I don't think that any form of self-defense can achieve that goal. I don't think anything can do it other than a gun. So that's the reason why. Protect from who? Somebody who's breaking into your house. So, like, for example, if you're a 5'3", 100-pound girl, you are not going to be able to defend yourself against a 6-foot-tall man. It's not going to happen. But if you have a gun, you can shoot him in the head. And then he's dead. That's it. Problem solved. And so that's the reason why. So based, yeah, and protection from tyrannical government. I do think that obviously that's another big factor. But I don't really think that the government, like, the government has much higher tier of arms than we do, right? So yeah, great equalizer. Exactly. FBI stats are 36,000 gun deaths a year. Yeah, no, I get that. People's right to defend themselves shouldn't be limited when the criminals can use what they want. Why is this an argument? Because people are afraid and they would rather take away their own rights and hope that the government makes up for it. And then they think that's going to keep them safe. But no, I want to make it abundantly clear. I think that absolutely more people die because we have guns. And it's totally okay with me. And I think it's totally okay with most people. And that's the reality. Like, here's an example. If we took the speed limit from every single fucking, every single place and we lowered it by 10 miles per hour, I bet you'd have less car fatalities. But do we want to do that? No. No. School shootings, though? Yeah, I know. For sure. Yep, that's right. And anyway, why does the rest of the world not need them then? I think that they do. And I think that the rest of the world, like, so this is a good point. So you're talking about, like, why does the rest of the world not need them? Well, the rest of the world has things like this. Take a look at this. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. British police capture and arrest an elderly man because some of his social media posts caused someone anxiety. Here we go.
No. Just which Hampshire police would realise how ridiculous this is.
It is ridiculous.
It is. Of course, I'm
glad to come to this.
What did it need to come to?
Tell us why you escalated it to this level, because I don't understand. I posted something that he posted. You come to arrest me. You don't arrest him. Why has it come to this? Why am I in cuffs? Because of something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media post. That's
not his.
Why you've been arrested.
It's a complete logical leap. Makes no sense. It absolutely does. Having an armed population means that it is harder for the government to basically to exercise tyrannical control. It absolutely is true. Now, I'm not saying that if the government wanted to take over the country and they wanted to like do martial law, they probably would do it. But it's a massive deterrent that makes it a lot harder for it to happen. And so, yeah, it's a monopoly on violence. Exactly. Yes, 100%. And you mean the guy should shoot the cop? No, not necessarily. But if people get together and they want to push back against this, they have the ability to defend themselves in a way that the Second Amendment gives them. And so that's the reason why. And so, yeah, so you should just shoot the cops? Well, I think that if the police behave in a tyrannical way and they don't adhere to elections, and this is another big reason, is that, like, how do you enforce democracy? Well, you enforce democracy when the people can revolt and fight back against it. So the reason why you have guns and things like that is because you need them. So, for example, like, let's say you have an election and they decide to not, they just decide to not listen to the results of the election. Well, then people can go with guns and shoot them, right? That's it. That's the revolution, exactly. But don't try to impose your laws on other countries, bro. I'm not. I'm only saying for America. If the British wants to do this, that's totally fine. But this is not something that I would ever support in America. I'm a complete Second Amendment defender, and I totally support it in all ways. And I think it's completely fine. I feel like there are some gun regulations and gun laws that I would say are, you know, probably bad. And maybe you should tighten those up and make different rules. I think that's totally fair and reasonable. And even for me, I get a little unsettled when I see somebody walking around open carrying. I do. I'll be honest. I do. But, you know, that's the way it is. So, yeah. And what did he post, though? Please find out. Probably some kind of bullshit. These other countries don't have any sort of freedom of speech. That's it. And if America didn't have a bunch of crazies who wouldn't need guns, well, there's crazy people everywhere. America doesn't have this problem. But America doesn't have this only problem. Like, there are bunches of other places in the world that are violent. And so anyway, here's the point that I'm making, is that I think that guns obviously are a factor. I think that also mental health is a huge issue. So, like, in America, people don't have any sort of, like, safety net. And I think because people don't have a safety net, there's, like, a perception of a future that's, like, super bad. So they end up killing themselves and killing other people. I think that's another very big reason, too. So, yeah, that's the biggest issue. Yeah, so that's another factor. So, like, why do you have a bunch of these killings? Well, you have it for, like, 10 different reasons. You get unsettled when someone open carries because it's not normalized. People wouldn't think twice if they carried like they did in Western times. Maybe they did. I don't know. So, yeah. Second Amendment's about abolishing tyranny and not self-defense. Okay, well, that's... Whatever your explanation for what it is not relevant to me. Because the same result exists. I think that you should be able to own a gun for self-defense. I do. And I not only do I think that, I think that if somebody breaks into your house, you should have every right to kill them. That's it. You go fully tyranny mode is far-fetched. Crazy with guns is more a realistic issue. It is. But crazies that are trying to attack you are also a much more bigger issue. They are. And that's why you need to have a gun. Castle Doctrine? That's right. Realist statement? Yep. There's no reason to give up any right ever. Well, some of them, maybe. Invaders shall be purged. Yeah, I guess so. And it's also a factor of people considering invading America. That's also a very good point. You bring up a very good point. If somebody is going to invade America, this is something that was stated, I think, by somebody in China or Japan, that, like, there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass in America or something like that. That's actually a very big deterrent. So, yeah, I totally fucking agree with that. But anyway, we can go back and forth and talk about this 50 fucking times. I think that pretty much explained my point of view, right? And so anyway, Yeah, I use musket for home defense. Yeah, sure, right? But that's generally where I'm at. And giving up freedom in the name of safety is the first step towards communism. I don't agree communism, but I think that that's a Benjamin Franklin quote, and I think that he's right. But anyway, so yeah, all this stuff happened, and I think that it's going to keep getting worse, by the way. And I think the reason why it's going to keep getting worse is because social media and the internet and politics is becoming increasingly more radical every single year. Like, it's becoming crazy, crazy, crazy radical.